Okay, today what we're going to do is we're going to repair a closing 20-inch uh, drill press. It has a variable speed drive on it, and it uses what's called a Reeves drive, which is a belt that moves in and out on a shiv. So let me show you what the parts are that were bad on it. Okay, down here, this shaft right here that goes right through the center of the variable speed shiv was worn real bad down here where the two bearings are. There's a bearing here and a bearing here, and then a spacer that actually fits inside this housing right here. The end of this shaft is pressed into these bearings here and then pushed into that housing right there. What had happened is that shaft right there had worn real bad from the bearings wearing right into the shaft itself, and so consequently we had to make new shaft there for it, and take the drill press all apart and pull that out. Down below also what had happened is this tube right here that has a rod in it. That rod goes in and out and actually presses on a lever back here in the back that actually moves the top portion of the shiv, which I'll show you here, up or down, and making that belt track in or out on the shiv. This is the front of this is the speed control that you can adjust with a couple of handles on it. It'll go down to a slow RPM of 150 RPM, which makes it real nice for drilling, and actually you could probably even tap with it when it runs that slow. So that's really good. Let's go back up here and I'll show you the lever. Okay, here's the lever that rod goes into, and it actually just pushes down right here on this bearing right here, and that makes that top portion of that shiv go up or down on the shaft there. And then consequently the belt will track either in or out on the shiv there. The next video will show you the shaft and what I had to do to build a new shaft there. Okay, here's the shafts that I had to remake for the closing 20-inch drill press. What this shaft is part of the Reeves drive. It's the center shaft that has the two shivs that come into the this top shiv is movable, and that's why that slot's so big. Down here is a fixed bottom part of the Reeves shiv that's fixed in there. And what had happened to this machine is, you can see this black area here. That shaft had been wobbling around in there, and that's actually wore that in that deep, which is probably about 30 thousandths in there, where it wore, where the two bearings were set in there. So I had to make a new shaft, and I also had to make a new slider for the rod. This is a 3/8 pipe with a 5/8 by 18 thread on the end here. And what had happened is, this, from the wobble of this shaft here, it had actually broke the end of this off by about 5/8 of an inch. So it was not doing anything anymore because it was busted off. So what I had to do is get a piece of 3/8 pipe, shave it down a little bit so we could take a die and make 5/8 by 18 thread back on both ends here. Cut a slot in here for the slider rod. The slider rod's right here. And it has a little bearing on the end here that rotates on a wheel on the front of the closing, which I'll show you in the diagram. And then I decided, well, boy, that's an awful long shaft there with just two bearings on the very bottom. With a sheave that's about 10 inches in diameter, it's going to have a lot of stress on it from moving that belt in and out on the Reeves drive. So I decided, why don't I just make a top support to hold the top of the shaft up here. So what I did was I actually made this shaft a little longer than the original, which is probably about almost 3/4 of an inch longer here. And then I made a piece with two bearings, or with one bearing I mean, and this flips in here, and that screws on the top of that, and this bearing here will be put into a plate, which I'll show you, and that will bolt down to the top of the front of the closing drill press. And real quickly, here is the plate that I made. So this bearing, it fits right in here, has two set screws to hold it tight, and then this goes right in like this, and then that screws on the top of that shaft. So this rotates as the machine is running in that bearing right there, and that will steady the top of that shaft as that Reeves drive is opening up and closing on the belt. Okay, here's a video of the front of the closing drill press. You can see the control for the on and off there. Getting down to the spindle now, and then this is on the right side there. You can see the variable speed sheave there, and the push tight pipe here that the rod is in to activate the back of the lever there that pushes down on the top sheave. And you can see on the top there's a plate up there that supports that new shaft that I put in there. And the very front of it here is the speed control, and you can get down to 150 RPM there with the speed control. Okay, here's the left side of it, and you can see on the back here there's a spring there for that sheave, because that sheave has to move when you move the top of the Reeves drive up or down, so it kind of synchronizes the belt length. And up here you can see the lever that pushes down on the top of the Reeves, and then the new plate that's up there that supports the center shaft. And you can also see the tube on the back side there that has the rod in it that pushes on that lever.